scripted thing that may be hanging behind the scenes somewhere, or we also have a snapshot that can be displayed more publicly. So we worry about HIPAA and privacy and security. So the snapshot can literally hang outside somebody's door. The action plan is sometimes behind the scenes with a little more detailed information about what they love and what they don't love.
The story that you told us about your grandmother, I mean, I'm still so moved and inspired by it. But, unfortunately, we're seeing that less and less today, with a mobile society, somewhat nomadic society, even with technology, that we don't get that that intergenerational contact that you so well described. You've been talking about what it meant to you, and we all know, all four of us, that the value of that is priceless, really, not only for the older adult, but for the younger people too, be it a child or a young adult, even a mid-level adult. I mean, an intergenerational experience. And you've already alluded to the fact that, it's crazy what we're doing. We're taking all of this experience and human capital and pushing it off to the side as if it has no value because it's old. That's crazy. I mean, look at the pandemic. I mean, these we don't have so many now, but I mean, your grandmother had been through a pandemic. Wouldn't you love to have her here today to talk about that with people and what that was like, or about World War II or the Depression, those sort of things? Because it seems like we all think we're in this the first time. Okay, we young people have to figure it out. So, could you expand on the intergenerational value of stories and how you're going to cure the world of this huge gap that we have between the young people and older adults?
I am so glad you've asked this, because this is one of my number one missions in my mission of improving the entire world if possible. I totally want younger people to be exposed and gain from access to older people. And I think that they both face being marginalized, and they both face loneliness and isolation right now. And younger people think that they have a really, really, really hard life. And that changes when they hear the story of someone who fought in the Vietnam War, or someone who was had polio before there was a vaccine for that. I mean, just everyday life. Both my parents were born at home. They went to the outhouse. They got bathed in a pan, or a tub in the middle of the living room. They went over the hill. My dad went over the hill to get water. They didn't even have running water in the house. So when younger people can be exposed to that makes a difference. Let me talk about an interesting intergenerational thing too. Is I see people in maybe their 60s or early 70s interested in interviewing 80 and 90-year-olds too. And that could happen right in the community, because obviously a lot changed in their lives. And so I would like to encourage communities to start tapping into that, the inside the community intergenerational things that could happen too. And especially during COVID. I mean, come on, what can we do right now to get people there's no reason why things can be done in-house, but I think that simplifying, like we said with like this LifeBio memory app, the goal was, how simple can you make it so that people can just listen and get a chance to connect? Because then they will learn and then they will grow. So a lot of work we've done we have a program called LifeBio Connect, where we bring youth and older people together, and they could be coming from a high school, or they could be, interestingly, during COVID, we figured out ways for them to visit over just standard phones or through Zoom, where it does not have to be face-to-face right now, but they have built really strong friendships. And I can send you a picture of, they finally got to meet after interviewing each other. Oh my goodness, I have to tell you this. for the first time during COVID, we had older people interview the youth.
Nice.
Ah,
So it went both ways, and they both ended up with their book at the end. Oh my
ah,
goodness.
it's terrific.
Now,
Yeah.
every time I
We
ask,
actually got to interview my grandson during COVID. You know, he was starting college, and so we wanted to see how he felt about all that. And it was enlightening for me.
Uh-huh. Oh man, that's great. So yeah, let's take it both ways. Oh, one more thing. I want all the grandparents that may listen to this to tell their grandchildren, listen, I'm going to tell you a story now. Like, own it. Okay, guys, I got to tell you, I've got a lot of wisdom. I've got a lot of stuff. I've been through stuff. I'm not going to just chit chat with you. I want you to I want you to turn off your phone, and I want you to listen while I tell you about your great grandma. Own it.
Yeah, it's like the
Claim it.
insurance commercial. It says, "We know a thing or two. We've been around."
Yes. Yes. They need the information. They're struggling. And we know that younger people right now, it's been hard on them too. You
Yeah,
can help them realize they are resilient. They are like you. They can get through it.
they absolutely can, and it also dispels the stereotype and the erroneous view that young people really don't want to listen to older adults. I think once you can get the technology out of the way, of course, that's life consuming for young people. But if you can do that, I think that they're entranced in many cases, in most cases, in fact, because the stories are so foreign and so compelling. So we got to do
Yes,
more of that. Let's do
that's
it
right.
together.
Yes, yes. Hey, hey, a lot of times people say they have nothing to say either. Oh my goodness. Just describing, like I said, the way you gathered water when you were a kid, something with us. It was fascinating to tell some young people that I know about how we didn't have phones, to truly describe to your grandkids what it was like to be on a trip and maybe get separated from people, or just explaining normal life stuff. It doesn't have to be, I did this amazing thing and that amazing thing. It's and I don't know why this popped into my head, but we had, when we ask people questions, one of them is like, what is your greatest accomplishment? And one of the CEOs said, teaching my grandson to read. So the questions, when we ask them, you're just shocked, is amazed at what people say about their school life and their work life and their life.
Now, every time I ask this question on interviews, somebody makes me cry. So it's okay if you make me cry, but we'd love to hear one or two success stories that really sit with you.
Okay. So
You already told us a few.
I did, well, this just plays into what I just said. Like I got to go to a nursing home in Minnesota, and they wanted me to interview, just met this guy. And I could send you a video to it later if you want to post it so people could see it, because it's been out on YouTube, but he's a potato farmer, or he's now deceased. But at the time he was sharing just that everyday life of what it was like to be a potato farmer. And you can watch him kind of come out of his shell as he gets warmed up to me asking these questions that he had no idea what I was going to ask. He was sitting in front of other residents in the nursing home and just letting me ask him whatever I wanted to ask. It's beautiful. It's just amazing. And just to see, I guess I mentioned the woman who had polio, who really changed my life with her resilience. Like, here she is with so many physical problems, but so just watching her change, social and very much understanding that she could give back. She could give to me by sharing her story and how she had been through the diagnosis, and like she had been in an iron lung, and then she had come out of that and been a young mom at the time, and how she had to change her life to make it through that. And one more comes to me as a man who was at one of the concentration camps and was adamant about, I have to tell my story. I have to explain what I saw, for this is important for everybody to hear. So
Wow.
so many. And I got to add one more. My own father was a Vietnam vet, and his story is so tragic and so hard to hear, but just so beautiful, like a life of just hard times, and then such love and care for his family. It's just an incredible story. So I love all of these stories. Danielle, you made me cry.
I'm sorry. Usually it goes the other way. I'm usually the one bawling, but it was beautiful stories. Thanks for sharing.
Beth, it seems to me, tell me if this is accurate. It seems to me that in our society today, we don't necessarily take the time to ask good questions, deeper questions, and then be really good listeners for the answer. And it seems to me that that's what LifeBio solves. Is that an accurate sentence?
That is an accurate sentence. I think half the battle is asking the right questions.
Yeah. And kudos to your mom. I just want to give kudos to your mom, because you went to your mom and said, Mom, how are you going to document grandma's story? And your mom said, I'm not, you are. Right. Yeah. So kudos to her too. And then you as a child went to grandma and asked good, deep questions. And I don't think that's a skill that every child has. And I also don't think it's a skill that every adult has. So kudos to you too. I think your career started then. How old were you?
Actually, I was 23 or 24.
Oh, you weren't.
So I wasn't.
Child. Okay.
But I wasn't that old, and I still was more comfortable as a journalist interviewing a police chief than my own grandmother. I was like, Mom, what am I gonna say? I don't even know where to begin. And I think that's how most young people would be like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I don't know what to ask my own grandma. I don't know how to do it. So it was really important at the very beginning to figure out and now hone in on what are the right questions? How do you do this in an organized way that's positive? The question can't be a negative, take people where describe your mother to someone who's never met her, or describe your childhood home inside and outside.
Yeah.
The little things that people walk me down the street with you.
Right.
Who were your neighbors? What did it smell like and look like? And like, who was your friend? I've had older people that I've interviewed, like over the phone is one I remember, who said, she gets on the phone with me and she says, you know what? I don't feel well today. I don't think I can do this. I go, that's okay. We'll just schedule this another time. It's okay. Well, what's the first question? I go, well, I'd like to know about your childhood friends and the things you used to play. Well, we were down at the creek and we had our dolls and we set up a tea party and it was just fabulous. We didn't have anything. We just were playing with sticks and stones and making up this thing. And we were splashing in the creek. And I mean, like, I love it when people just go there. Mm-hmm. And you can hear in her voice the change as she's like, I'm there. So I think that's some of the life story work stuff I love, is that it really does work because it's such an incredibly good distraction.
Yeah, good questions. I can see that some questions would be difficult or triggering or send you down a difficult path, but that's what you've spent decades doing, is iterating until you found the right questions, right? Yes. that create the health outcomes that you've measured. Right. Such good stuff, Beth.
And Teresa, you just made me think of, nobody's led a perfect life. Mm-hmm. And so they'll say, oh, I can't do that. I just can't, because I've had a very hard life. And it's like, how many people have had a hard life? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's time to get it off your chest. It's okay. And you may find out in a community setting that somebody else had a really tough relationship in their home. or they had a really hard marriage, or, people need friends.
Mhm.
They've just moved into a community. Who are these people?